There's a heading. I turned this into a talk for a university who was so adamant that you'd take millions of years. I do debates against professors. And often when they know you're a creationist, they know that the Bible says the world was made in 6 days. And they don't need a lesson in Hebrew to know that what that's implying is you didn't even take 7 days. You didn't take 10 days. There's the key verse in this whole issue. In 6 days, the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that's in them, and rested on the seventh. Now, they hate that verse. Our professor at university said, we're not going to discuss creation or any such catastrophic nonsense. And he was right. We didn't. It was just poke fun at. Okay, that's what the crux becomes if you pursue it. Okay, what's the problem here? Well, I did a debate a few years ago. It's still available on our YouTube, I believe. Atheist biology professor John Turner versus creation guy John Mackay, back pre-COVID days. Now, he and I got along pretty well. Yep, there's me, the big Aussie guy on the left. There's him on the right. And what was his attitude? Well, atheist and evolutionist. We had good discussions about it. But there's one of the things he admitted in the debate. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. Go and listen to it and hear the quote yourself. We have precious little in the way of intermediates. No intermediates with stromatolites. No intermediates with the ape creatures. No intermediates with any group that I know of. But he went on and said this: the world is so old, evolution must have happened. Now, I've debated many professors around the planet, and most of them, the evidence just disintegrates, disappears. And they've got this belief that the world is so old, the Bible can't be true, and evolution must be. And in the mix there is their beliefs about stalactites and stalagmites. The reason? When they think time is the reason there's life on the planet, the reason there's design in the universe, when time is the hero of the plot, they put God out the window. I mean, we've just short-circuited the whole philosophical system of the universities and the schools and the politicians. So have a look at it. It's on our YouTube, creationresearch.net. You'll still see it there. Go and check for yourself. Now, this has led to many observations by myself about stalactites over the years, including from when I wasn't even a Christian. My first visit to Nolan Caves was back when I was 16. 4,000 years old? Wow. I'll tell you what, that's what's in the guidebook from back in the 60s. I'll tell you what, I wasn't very old, but neither was Jenolan Caves. Now, I went back there in 2000 and so, and it was listed as 400,000 years old. Now, it hadn't been that long since I was at the actual caves. So when you have a look at this, you go inside and there's some marvelous big stalactites and stalagmites. And the guide tells you they took vast ages to form. Don't touch them. They're so slow growing. But what you find is interesting. They're up on the power lines. Don't touch them. They take so long to grow. Well, if you have stalactites on the handlebars and the power lines, something's wrong with the logic. But then I already guessed at that because the stalactites grew under my dad's tank and they didn't take long. Okay, there's the logic. The normal stalactites must take a long time because they are caused by a chemical reaction only, carbon dioxide plus water, which forms a mild carbonic acid, dissolves the lime, it comes through the cave rock, it drips on the outside, it loses CO2, and precipitates a weeny teeny bit of limestone back onto the stalactite. But when you add to that, the time for stalactite growth has to allow for the time for a cave to form in the first place, which is millions. Oh, come on. Think through. Solid rock, and there's no cave there. You won't get any stalactites. So first of all, something has to eat out the hole, and then the water can run through the rock and drip into the space. So most evolutionists don't really think much about caves, but they know that vast amounts of time. Did you get that word? They know. Now, science, observation, no, they haven't seen a cave form. No, almost none of them have bothered to check. How do I know that? I asked the cave guys, did you watch this? No. Did you do experiments on it? No. Okay. In fact, the counter-creationist handbook, University of California Press, 2007. That's where that statement actually comes from. Did they check it? No, they just believe it. Sometimes in the order of tens of millions of years to make a cave. Now, look, let's be blunt. The Bible says, beware of false science. What's science? Aren't you supposed to observe things? Aren't you supposed to test things? The minute you have anything longer than your lifespan, you personally haven't observed it. If it's longer than the time span of so-called science history, then nobody has scientifically recorded it. If it's longer than the human occupation of the planet, then it's way outside the whole realm of what you call science, which led to this. There's a tank in the background. There's what looks like a giraffe watering trough. Well, it isn't. It's our first ever stalactite machine, number one, built by Fred Dainty and about 3 or 4 helpers in 2015, October the 1st. Look at this, really interesting. There's good old Fred. What we have is a concrete trough, and we have shells in the bottom because shells are naturally made of limestone rocks full of shells. And on the top of that, we're going to put a layer of raw cement, not concrete, raw cement. And you notice our wicks there to drain any water out. And then on top of that is our secret ingredient. Because one thing John Mackay discovered ages ago, there he is in the back. I'll tell you what, one thing John Mackay discovered ages ago is the fact that in my tank, there was dead frogs. In my tank, there was broken bits of leaf. There was mosquitoes that were dead. There was all sorts of organic stuff. And when there was organics, the stalactites grew quickly. In fact, in the caves where the fastest stalactites grow, there's forest on the top. Where the slower stalactites grow, there's none. Do you know when they were regrassing the area around Narracourt Caves? Narracourt Caves, you can go there, beautiful set of caves, and they usually tell you how slow the stalactites grow. Well, when they were doing it up for a big new expansion, they put a new grass area over the top and they watered it. Surprise, surprise, the stalactites started to grow again. Grass, mulch, bacteria. You know, we've become convinced that the main thing involved in stalactite growth is not just the water, not just the CO2, but the mulch. And the mulch provides bacteria. And boy, do you get some stalactites. Oh, there's the average growth rate off Wikipedia. Now, Wikipedia, of course, is known for its accuracy, but you can improve it every day if you like. The average growth rate, according to experts, is 0.13 millimeter or 0.0051 inches a year, which means you get old very fast if you sit around watching them grow. Now, February 15th, 2016, through to October the 1st, 2015, there's Liam. Liam's a geologist. Liam is really impressed with our stalactite machine. In fact, it's a stalactite that grew in the Gympie gold mines where he worked in the time that the actual mine had been shut, and then they dewatered it, and the stalactites had grown because they know they weren't there a few years earlier when the cave filled with water. So he got really interested. It led to his conversion. It led to him becoming one of the real helpers. So let's give you some time-lapse photography. You see, one of the good ways of observing things and recording them so you can use them in a debate is actually to do exactly that. Measure, not just notes, but record. 15th of 2nd, 2016. What's it made of? Well, they're beautiful close up. There's our hydrochloric acid. They're definitely made of limestone. Now, not just ordinary calcium carbonate that dribbled through and got caught on the wick. It turns out that they've been checked thoroughly. University equipment that actually checks the X-ray structure, the crystalline structure. This is provably calcium carbonate crystals. Oh, look, between the 15th of the 2nd and the 31st of the next month. Can you see the growth as a tube down the bottom? And look, right up to the next year, the 7th of the 3rd, wow, look at the growth rate there from the end. These are growing incredibly rapidly. Not that growth rate. Our growth rate was 1 centimeter a month. So after 1 year, we had a 12 centimeter long stalactite straw, not 0.13 millimeters a year at all. When you have a look at a bridge, They claim that the bridges are the fastest growing. Yet they'll admit that bridges grow stalactite, like Wheelie Bridge that Joseph's going to talk about later, grows stalactites itself pretty fast. The fastest was 40 millimeters a year. That's 1.6 inches a year. Well, our growth rate was 12 centimeters per year, or 4.8 inches. Now, whatever we're doing is much, much faster than they admit. I mean, look at the reference science.jrank.org pages on stalactites and stalagmites. So this growth rate is pushed around the planet without anybody running checks at all. Now, you're going to have an opportunity now. If you've got any questions, Joseph, they're going to get question time later. It's too early for questions now, but get your questions ready. And as Sam said, keep them to topic as much as you possibly can.